I felt like they were trying to set me up. Honestly,
all the odds were stacked against you. People playing against you.
When my music started playing in Dubai and Abu Dhabi that night, and I was in the middle of the desert, and nobody was there, across the world, I felt like when they started walking me through the hallways in the back, I felt like I was a lamb being led to slaughter. I really felt that, but that's where I do my best.
Arguably, pound for pound, one of the baddest men on the planet. Who wants to hear Dustin Poirier, man? Who's excited to hear? Oh, we excited to hear this man talk? So what are we going to talk about, Dustin? What are we going to talk about? Oh, here he comes right now, coming up, give us a round of applause. He said, fuck this bullshit. Hey. All right. With them diamonds, he said, you know what? The brands are in alignment. How'd you come up with Dustin the Diamond? Where's that come from?
Dustin, I fought most of my amateur career and good bit of the beginning of my pro career without a nickname. I was just like, I'm not giving myself, you can't give yourself a nickname. And one day, Tim Crater, like he was just saying, training in the back of Anytime Fitness, I had got signed to the WEC, and it was gonna be one of my first big fights out in Vegas. And we had a questionnaire to fill out. They're getting all my info, and it had a spot for nickname. And Tim was standing there, he wrote down the diamond, and he turned it in. That quick. Boom. So Tim Crater gave me the nickname, actually.
Hell yeah, man. Give him a round of applause for that. That's a pretty sick name. I got a brother-in-law. He's not here, but he came up with my name. I did a fight, and he called me the midlife crisis. There's a Cuban Missile Crisis,
Aerodynamic, though.
Yeah, aerodynamic for sure. Let's see, man. The guy was southpaw, though. I didn't train against southpaw. You're southpaw.
I am southpaw. We had, back in Tim's gym, dude, we had a bunch of southpaws, which is, not weird. Common, Yeah, so we had a bunch of southpaws in that gym, but yeah, I'm a southpaw.
So talk about your journey, man. Like, I watched this crazy documentary. It kind of showed when you first got started, you were a kid when you met Tim, and, walk me back to those times where you didn't have, fighting, you didn't have any of this, and you were just starting from scratch.
Yeah, how far back we're going here? Like when I was a kid?
That's like right before you,
Yeah, I used to, when I was a kid, I probably started training about 17 years old. Before that, I was getting in a lot of trouble. I actually wanted to be a boxer. Mm-hmm. And went to a boxing gym in Louisiana and met some guys there who were training their boxing for mixed martial arts. And this was around the time when mixed martial arts was really blowing up. The IFL was out. UFC was about to merge with Pride. Pride was booming back then, with Shogun and then Henderson, Rampage. A lot of big names were coming over, so the sport really started making a wave in the mainstream. And I didn't think people were training mixed martial arts in Louisiana yet. And I met some guys at a boxing gym, and they told me they were just there to work on their boxing, but they have a MMA gym, and it was a wrap from that, man. I never looked back. Started training.
It was a wrap.
It was a wrap, yeah.
So describe the first time you met Tim.
I met Tim, I run into Tim a couple times at local shows around Louisiana and Texas, and then he went on The Ultimate Fighter.
Nice.
And then everybody, obviously, in Louisiana knew about Tim. And when he came back from The Ultimate Fighter, he opened a gym. And I was at a small gym with a bunch of friends at the time, kind of making stuff up, pretending we knew how to fight. And when Tim came back from The Ultimate Fighter, Tim was also the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in Louisiana. So he was kind of an icon in that aspect of martial arts. And when he came back from The Ultimate Fighter, he decided to open up a small gym. And immediately I was there. I wanted to, that's how I've always been. Like, if there's something to be taught, I'm there. I want to listen. I want to watch this guy move because he's where I want to be. He's fighting on TV. That's where I want to be.
Yeah, and so, a lot of people might look at it opposite. They might say, this guy's the baddest guy. I want his spot. And then they don't go and ask for the information.
Yeah, no.
Do you feel like those people sometimes in the gym are out there? You kind of get it. Like once you become this character, this figure, you got these results. They don't always treat you like they're coming for information. They're coming for your spot. Does some of them treat you that way?
I do, but I love that camaraderie because that keeps me on my toes. I need those young guys. You know, otherwise I'll fall in a groove and get too comfortable.
Right.
I need these guys to try to take me out and keep me honest, and I appreciate that. But yeah, there are some guys who will try to take you out, and there are some guys who are kind of, cerebral with it. They want to talk and learn stuff by watching and ask how you've overcome fights and overcome things in fighting career, whether it's in combatives or business. Some of these guys are pretty intelligent.
Yeah, to be able to put yourself out there. I lost my first fight. It was a split decision. We got fight of the night, but I can only imagine my whole livelihood depended on it. And so the emotions of coming back, I'm sure is very tough. A lot of people have struggles Who in here has hit a tough spot this year and had like a loss that just hit you right in the gut, like so hard that you didn't want to get up? So what do you do when you're picking yourself up from a moment like that?
Any setbacks, I've always found I'm sure everybody's different, but my personal way to get over that stuff is to drown myself in more work. You know, if I lose, I want to be back in the gym, working on things, kind of putting that in the back of my head, trying to get better. For me, that helps me, just drown it out by putting in effort, sweating, putting in work, bleeding. It makes no losses get easier, but it makes it kind of feel like I'm doing the right things to overcome those losses.
Yeah, if you're doing everything you could in the cage, everything to learn from it, then you don't feel bad about what happened.
Right. You're still disappointed and feel like you let yourself down. And like you said, this is my livelihood. I have a family to feed, and a lot of fighting to me was easier back then.
When you didn't have all the money and the
ignorance is bliss. When you're young and
when I heard you say something, you got done with Conor, the first time you knocked him out, and you're like, I don't like, y'all remember that shit?
The first time. First time. Felt so nice I did it twice.
But there was a weird moment there where you ran over to Dana White and you were like, I don't love this shit. Now, were you talking about like the shit talking and all the bad stuff that comes with it, or were you talking?
Just I love fighting was like my identity for so long. There was a point in my life where I would have given up everything to continue fighting. Now it's just something I do. And I think it's perspective and just a mindset I have. I still put my all into it and care very much about it. But when I told Daniel that, it's just the build up to that fight, being overlooked, being the underdog, going out there, expected to lose. I knew what the company was trying to do. I knew what they were trying to get done with a loss, and Conor with the win. They were going to keep moving. It was just, I felt like they were trying to set me up. Honestly,
all the odds were stacked against you. People playing against you.
When my music started playing in Dubai and Abu Dhabi that night, and I was in the middle of the desert, and nobody was there, across the world, I felt like when they started walking me through the hallways in the back, I felt like I was a lamb being led to slaughter. I really felt that. But that's where I do my best. I don't want to be the favorite. I want to be the underdog.
Man, you came out, man. And so I think let's go back to the first time you fought Conor. What's going on in your career the first time that you fought Conor?
It was one of the first guys I fought that really, talked a lot and in interviews always talked about me, bad. And there was headlines everywhere. It was my first wave of that pressure from trash talk. And I was really emotional in that fight. And I paid the price for it. That emotion can blind you. And with that, just like we talked about overcoming, setbacks, is I learned that that's just talk. That's just noise. I've started to learn how to drown that stuff out. I know what matters, and what I have control of matters. So if I focus on what I can control, all that stuff doesn't matter.
That's right. And so you go back out after you knock them out the second time, and this last one has to be like the highlight of the career. As far as, I don't know financially, but I'm sure like best fight.
Yeah, for sure. The biggest amount of money I've ever won in a fight.
Dude, give him a round of applause for that, man. Being paid millions of dollars to go out there and showcase your talents. That is something that so many people just want to have. There's 1%, but then there's a lot of difference between that 1%, the bad, Yeah. And so, what do you think is the biggest difference maker about how you got to that Razor's Edge from good to great?
By assessing, by looking in the mirror, honestly. By taking time, waking up in the morning, writing down what I care about, trying to make my actions align with my goals, holding myself accountable in the gym, and just day by day trying to be better. Every day I make mistakes, do dumb shit all the time. But I try not to do it again. I try to learn from it. And that's just been the story of my mixed martial arts career and my life. I've made it out the mud. I did it out from nothing. And, I take pride in that. Just try to continue to grow every step. Try to be better than I was yesterday. That's just it. That's just what I try to do.
That's awesome, guys. Give him a round of applause. That's incredible. We were talking, and your eyes lit up when you started talking about your family. You started talking about how your wife and your daughter are always around, and that you couldn't go to war if they weren't at your side. Talk to a little bit about how that you find balance in this crazy world where people are coming at you from all angles.
Yeah, and that's some of the reason why I started, disliking fighting, because it's not what I fell in love with. What I fell in love with was an honorable, thing that we did. The martial arts were the core of building, and it was about respect. It was about, building something out of nothing. Fighters for the most part don't come from a lot of money. You fight because you have to, for the most part. Not saying you can't have money and be well off and decide to fight and be successful, but I would say 95% of the guys who do are doing it because they have to, because they're fighting for their life out there, and that's what I do, and that's what I've done.
Hell yeah, man. Look, I'm telling you one thing, there's this principle Frank Shamrock had quoted about, it's in jiu-jitsu, you understand it, I'm sure. It's like, what this is to me, it's like sort of a jiu-jitsu gym of contracting growth, where I, like you, need the young up-and-comers. There's a 22-year-old kid that's growing like 12 million in 6 months, something like that, keeps me on my toes, new ideas. But you've got people also that I'm competing with, that are close to the same level in this room, guys that are doing similar volumes as me, and there's also the people that I look up to, that I'm getting mentorship, that I'm paying from, and then this is like one of my favorite weekend of the year. This is when all the people come together, where we vibrate at the highest level, but it's this level of learning where I'm fighting with people that are competing with me. I'm learning and fighting with people that are better than me, and I'm fighting or learning from people that are not as good as me that I'm mentoring. And it's like these three different types of people that level up, like me being able to apply that knowledge. How does that apply in fighting? Does that?
Yeah, fighting's an individual sport, but at the same time, I need all my training partners. I need everybody, because we stand on each other's shoulders and raise each other up to that level of competition. I rely on these guys. I ask them to be responsible, to be reliable, and I expect them to be thinking the same thing about me. Because if I go to the gym and these guys don't show up, I'm shadow boxing. I'm not getting better. We need each other, So even the guys who push me and the guys who might beat me some rounds, some days in the gym, I appreciate that, and I'm grateful to have that there, because without that, I wouldn't be able to grow. I would just be spinning my wheel.
Yeah, and last year we had Jorge Masvidal. Who's a fan of Jorge in this room? Give him a round of applause. He had a rough go around, got him back, but
allegedly.
What about Jorge as a training partner? Like after getting to know him, he seems like a real down to earth dude. Like he's just a real dude.
He's one of the guys who kind of helped me make the decision to fight at 155 pounds back in the day. I've been training with Masvidal since 2012, probably, maybe before that. And he told me, he's like, man, you just got to stop cutting all that weight. You're competing. He was fighting at 55 at the time. You're competing with me and all these other great guys. I think you can hang in there and not sacrifice as much, not cut as much weight. And I took his word. But George is a pioneer. He's been fighting way before fighting was cool. He was fighting in Bulldog. He was fighting in, Asian organizations and Dream or Sengoku, I think out in Korea. Mm-hmm. And he's a good guy, a hard worker, a blue collar guy, not scared to get his hands dirty, and became a superstar. After setback after setback, the guy always showed up in the gym, worked on things, and he's a superstar now.
And y'all had, right up the road, of course, this Mecca, American Top Team. Of course, Knucklehead was in there, old Colby. And people have been talking, about you just going up and knocking him out. Do you think you'd like to do like they do in one championship, where they do like just standing Muay Thai with Colby with 4 ounce gloves?
He wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't do that?
No.
No, you don't think Colby would stand
I know he
there?
wouldn't.
Oh, why not?
Because he knows. Because we've trained together for years.
He knows you put him down, huh?
Yeah, he knows. He knows what's up. If we kickbox.
So, what kind of damage you think you take in that fight, in an MMA fight with Colby?
He would be more damaged than me. Damage I would take. He would try to wrestle and win rounds. You know? I would try to finish him, and he would try to win rounds.
Yeah. And that brings us to what I thought honestly was one of the hardest rounds I ever saw. When I thought about this, I don't know about asking you, because it was honestly looked like one of the most painful, excruciating rounds of fighting I've ever seen. It was when you didn't want to give up your back, and you were laying on your back, and Oliveira was on you with his elbow. Was that one of the worst enduring moments in your rounds in there, or did you that wasn't bothering you that much?
No, that wasn't that bad. It might have looked, strenuous and painful, but that wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad. My pride, losing the round in a title fight on my back in front of the world, that was more painful than the elbow on my face.
Yeah, but you could get that motherfucker. You could get that guy. You had him.
I can beat anybody in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah. And see,
but knowing that, like knowing that and being able to digest that, like I know I'm a better fighter than a lot of these guys. That don't mean that they can't beat me. This is fighting. The MMA gods don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You can work harder than this guy 7 days a week and still go in there. You know, it's a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
Of course, your preparation helps stack the odds in your favor. How dedicated you are, all these things matter. But dude, you're fighting the best guys in the world for 25 minutes with 4-ounce gloves on. You know, submissions, everything, you know, almost everything legal. Anything can happen in there. That's part of the butterflies and the excitement that keeps me in love with this, is anything can happen.
And one thing about it is you saw how he reassured himself. You saw how no matter what, this man is in love with the journey. And I think the one thing is, like, you inspire us, you know, and this is the whole world. And so whenever you're fighting, you know, you're do you ever feel like that I know that clout chasing and shit talking is bad, but the positive side of your influence, what do you think the benefits are? What do you like about that? About just being influential and having a platform?
I appreciate it for sure. It's never like a spot that I was trying to get to, but the older I get, the more I realize I do. You know, these young fighters are listening. And, you know, if somebody can take something from I've always been doing it for me and my family, but if I can leave a gym behind for somebody to pick up and put it to use in their life, you know, that's what learning's about. I'm very grateful to be able to do that and be able to, like, blaze a path to where somebody can and learn from it. It means a lot to me. I don't take it lightly, you know.
No, you said something interesting as we were walking up. You said that you come out here sometimes for 2 weeks at a time, even if you don't have a fight, to keep your coaches fresh. And I know you have a good group. You're getting an even better group in Louisiana to fight with and spar with. You got guys, upcoming guys like AJ.
Yeah, we have guys in the UFC now, back home in Lafayette.
But, you know, how important is the coaches and your investment in the relationship with coaches? It seems like that's very important to you. And what's been that importance for your success?
You know, I can, throughout the years, like fighting, I put so much into it and I overthink a lot of things, but having these coaches to help me dissect parts of the training camp, kind of phase it out, focus on what we need to be focusing on, let go of some stuff that I'm holding on to too much or caring too much about. It's important. And over the years, you know, right off the bat, it wasn't like that. Over the years, I've learned how they work. They learn how I work. You know, we become like family. You know, I know their friends and family. They know mine. And it's like a brotherhood. It's like a family at the gym with my coaches that I have. And I think that's the kind of trust you need to have when you walk into battle and guys are in your corner. I need to sit in that, when I'm bleeding between rounds in a world title fight, I need to take the information this guy's giving me and believe it. I don't want to be around a guy that I don't trust, or, you know, these things that he's telling me, I'll attempt to do whatever he's telling me to do. I trust him that much in that moment. And that's important. We got to have that.
You got to have it. And so a lot of times I think in business, sometimes people don't understand the value of coaching. Sometimes they want an immediate answer. They want it to do it for you. But, you know, we are our own weapon. And, you know, one thing about our cause here to raise the status for blue collars, you know, we are here on Memorial Day. We're giving back. We're here to raise money for Folds of Honor. You have a foundation. It's called The Good Fight. And, you know, my good fight is that. But what is your good fight? What is that all about? And what inspired you to do that?
The Good Fight Foundation is a nonprofit me and my wife started back in 2018. We both had no experience in nonprofits or charities at all. My daughter was just born. I was living here in Boca Raton, moving back to Louisiana, and we were packing up a U-Haul, and I had a dresser in my computer room just full of fight-worn memorabilia. And I have 46 fights now. So like the first 10 pairs of gloves and bloody shorts were fun to keep. You know, it meant something to me. But you have 40-something pairs. It's full of, you know, blood and sweat. It's gross. And we were packing up the U-Haul, and I was like, what are we going to do with all this stuff? And we saw on the local news that a police officer just got shot in the line and killed in the line of duty and left behind a wife and a few kids. And we auctioned off some stuff from that drawer and donated it to his family. Then a couple months later, I had another fight. We did the same thing, but this time I auctioned off fight-worn things. You know, so we started realizing I have a platform here. Mm-hmm. And the bigger the sport's getting, the bigger my platform grows, right? From Fox to ESPN now. We're on SportsCenter. I have a megaphone to the world, and I didn't want to let that pass me by for those people. You know, I had a voice that people were listening to. I wanted to
listen. There's some people here that were listening. Guys, stand up if you responded from this scholarship post. Go ahead and stand up and be recognized, guys. If you were out here on Instagram, you saw a post and you said, Hey, look, man, don't be afraid. Hey, give these guys a round of applause. Look, I had Dustin give free tickets. To this event. You know, these guys are empowered to get the blue collar American dream because Dustin said, hey, look, my friend Lee, he can help you fix big problems for big paychecks. And I don't care if one person's life's changed. Yeah. That's all that matters to me.
And I'm sure when people see posts from, I'm not going to post anything on there. I know a lot of people will, like you said, clout chase or just post stuff to do whatever business-wise. But if I'm posting something, it's because I really mean I want people to come and I want people to talk and spread the knowledge. And, you know, these guys are a bunch of hardworking guys who made things happen, and anybody can do that. So I wanted like-minded people to come together. That's why I support stuff like this.
Hell yeah, man. And my coach, Cosmo, he's a world champion Muay Thai, but he's getting older, and he's selling solar part-time.
Alexander?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's my coach.
Legend, bro.
Yeah, I know. So we got this campaign, Knock Out Your Power Bill, and I was hitting you up for solar. You're like, man, what'd you say about solar? You want no glass on your house.
I just built a nice house for my family. I don't want a bunch of R2-D2 looking stuff hanging off the roof.
R2-D2 looking stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know a whole lot about it, so I'm talking from not an intelligent point of view.
Very common perspective. But most of the time on the south side, you don't see it. It adds value, and without an electric bill, the main thing is when a hurricane.
It sounds great. Yeah, I want to know more about it.
Main deal is like when the grid goes down and the house, you don't have to worry anything because you stored your own power. You can run off the grid. That's great. But we're working on this campaign because look, man, I believe that this world of in training in the jiu-jitsu gyms, like we have a promotion that the Florida Commission. They're like, hurry up with the conference. We gotta get this fight started. There's a bunch of fighters from different places and their camps, and basically Cosmo selling solar in my gym as basically a way he can't get to one championship because of some visa issues, so he's making money selling solar. And so it's like even fighters need a way to make extra money sometimes, and there's so many good people in the jiu-jitsu community, the boxing community, Muay Thai community, and these are hard workers. You know, it doesn't, you know, it's not about being the smartest in life, really. It's about being a fucking person who believes in what you'll do and who will do whatever it takes to get it. And do you think there's a good opportunity to recruit people in the fighting community?
For sure. All these guys are blue collar, hard workers, not scared to get their hands dirty. And that's the kind of people you want to be on the field. People who aren't scared to put themselves in and tie up their boots and go to work, you know. And all these guys, like you said, from jiu-jitsu gyms or fighting gyms, the camaraderie is so great and the friendship is so great. My best friends, you know, which I would look at like family members now, you know, from years of fighting, I've met in the gym, you know, sweating side by side for years. There's a bond and a friendship that you can't recreate that, you know, and I know these guys are hard workers.
Man, I tell you, we did this blue collar boot camp, and a lot of these guys we were talking about right before we got started, this dude broke his ankle, and all the roofers were like, I don't want to do this, but we did it, we had fun. Then some of them went and worked out at the gym with us. But the vision for this Blue Collar Fight Club, this is the first event, is that y'all are inspired to train, that y'all are inspired to go to the gyms, to go see what it's like to meet these people, through these blood, sweat, and tears, build these relationships. What's happened to me is an incredible thing. I've met influencers, I've met people that joined my company, I've sold a lot of projects. More importantly, it's helped me build character, confidence, and given me more freedom. And coming out of a ring, whether you're hand raised or not, if you give it all in the cage, the confidence that you feel about yourself, you can't put a dollar amount on that. And so this Blue Collar Fight Club idea is, guys, anybody can start training. I didn't start training until 2 years ago. There's been a ton of financial benefits, physical benefits. More importantly, man, like it's given me a new zest for life. And, you know, for a lot of people out here, you know, you talked about this is a job. This is what I'm doing. I'm going in a cage. I talked about, GSP was on video today, and he was like, dude, I never enjoyed maybe losing, getting beat up. I never enjoyed the fight aspect of it, so I can see that. But what are the things that you do to kind of celebrate your victories or have a positive vibration when you're doing your job?
I know that I'm doing it for something. I know, like, all these hours are going to pay off. I'm putting in the work right now, you know.
You got a saying, paid in full.
Paid in full.
What's that mean?
That means that the blood, sweat, tears that I'm putting in every day, that I've put in for the last 15 years, aren't done in vain. You know, whether that's financially, whether that's business opportunities, or that's just self-growth, none of it's done in vain. So paid in full is a phrase I use, but it doesn't mean financial gains. It just means bettering myself. I'm paid in full. I'm giving it my all. Nothing's been given. That's exactly what paid in full means.
Dang. Give him a round of applause on that. Paid in full means, did you leave it all in the cage? Did you leave it all on the training mats? Did you leave it all like for your business, for your family? Look, your wife, she deserves you to figure out how to delegate, how to build a team. Your kids, they deserve you to figure out the ability to advertise for profit, get customers on demand, and blow up and become a blue collar million success story. They deserve that. The question is are you paid in full to your future self? And that's really what I wanted to.
Yeah, and with that, it's gonna take, you're gonna try to balance everything, but every day you're paying something, rent's due every day, and it has to be paid. And that's why I use that phrase, but it's a double-edged sword, because when I focus so much on this, I'm leaving something else, not worked on. And it's a constant thing, it's a sacrifice, and you gotta pick those sacrifices. But at the end of it all, I know that I'm putting pennies in the piggy bank, with knowledge, with money, with opportunity, that's gonna be paid in full. It's gonna flourish and grow. I'm planting seeds, and that's what it's about.
Whenever I was talking about The Last Dance, someone said about what's Michael Jordan's biggest strength, and they were talking about presence. Sometimes I'll be in a different place, thinking different things, and not present. I see you on Instagram, you're present with your family, you're present in different moments. How do you stay engaged, present? This is kind of like a personal question, with all these distractions.
I try to keep myself grounded and focus on what matters and what's real. And right here in this room, sitting down, tomorrow's not promised. This is what we have. So I try to make the most out of every day, And I wake up, I write down lists of things that I want to get done this month. Try to stay on that mindset. Try to stay aligned with my goals. And I feel like that's important because I'm traveling all over, meeting so many people, doing so many things. It can easily turn into a blur and feel like too much, like I'm just going through the motions, and I don't want to feel like that. I keep myself centered with my family. I keep in the front of my mind what really matters and why I'm doing it and what I'm doing. It's work. It's work to stay centered and to stay in the moment at all times. It's easy to slip away, but you have to pull yourself back.
Ed Milet, you did a great podcast with him. He's going to talk Sunday. He talks about when you work out, you're vibrating at the highest level, anchoring in those championship moments. When you were able to catch that belt, that interim belt, when you were able to beat just these high-level wins, Conor's knockouts, losses, these championship moments. You're working out, you're feeling that moment. Do you kind of recreate those moments in your head? Do you live in those moments? You go back to that?
I visualize not so much the moments of victory, but how I felt after. I try to attach my mind to those feelings that I had. That going back to the locker room or going back to the house with my wife when I won the world title, and she said, "I told you were going to do it." Those feelings, those are very powerful.
And so I think that, the law of attraction is often missed because people say thoughts become things, but it's the feelings that you associate with those thoughts. And, Ed's going to talk about anchoring the feelings in with the work, being paid in full, and the belief of staying present. And so weaving these worlds of fighting and entrepreneurship, want to know, what do you want? What is your purpose? What are you here for? What are you not paid in full on right now? And so, this is a opportunity to get better. You can't get better if you can't see what's going on, what's wrong. You talking about how you're hard on yourself, you gave up your back. He's arguably, the best jiu-jitsu guy in all of the UFC.
He is.
Statistic-wise. He's statistic-wise the best. So, but you're still back looking at what you could do better. How do you deal with sometimes being too hard on yourself? Sometimes I'm very too hard on myself.
I feel like it's important to be hard on yourself as long as it doesn't come to the point where you're mentally breaking yourself down where you don't want to do it,
There you go.
A few days after the fight, I didn't want to,
look at it.
I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to try to push it aside. But then that day comes, you're going to go to sleep. That sun's going to rise again. You go to sleep, it's going to rise again over and over. So one day you have to look at yourself in the mirror. Otherwise, you're running from it. And then go back to the gym. And why did I lose? What did I do? I want to put guys back in the position that made me lose. I need to work on this. And like I said, try to better myself every day. Spend more time under pressure. Spend more time in those positions I'm not comfortable in. Spend more time losing so I can win.
Guys, what incredible lessons for any entrepreneur. Let's put our hands together for a true legend in the game, a true example. Stand up, man. For real, guys. Everybody get out your seats. This guy right here, he does it. For real, man. Dustin Diamond Poirier. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. That was great.
Thank you.
Good job, brother.
Thank you, guys.